Hey everybody, Brett from AstartesGaming here, back with another Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord Developer Blog video. Today we're checking out the developer blog from December 21st, 2017, which is a Q&A with Cem Çimenbiçer. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. You guys tried to give me some pointers on pronouncing Turkish names on the last video, so hopefully I'm a little bit closer with that one. But anyways, let's dive on in. So, greetings warriors of Calradia. We're back with our series of interviews with Tailworld's team. Today we want to introduce you to a very important role in every development team. Every time a game designer thinks of a cool feature or an animator creates a beautiful movement, there's someone who has to find a way to make it happen and implement everything in the actual game. You're right, we're talking about the programmers, those code magicians that turn designers' wishes into reality and then fix all the issues that usually follow every change. A video game is a very complex system, and changing even the smallest thing can create unexpected problems. Alright, so looks like he's been with them for a long time, since 2006, so he is like one of the originals. So he is the team leader for combat, game mechanics, animations, the network code, and AI. So apparently he's got a hand in like everything, or at least a lot of things. What does he normally do during his day? So 80% of my time is spent writing code. Then I also take care of integrating the code that other programmers wrote, a process during which I check and review these parts and have a few meetings. Our dedicated team, which we call Combat Team, has 2 short meetings every week to synchronize our development efforts. So what's he like most about the game? I love how the game improved with the addition of all the new animation techniques we've implemented, and together with the newly added cloth system, the game feels more fluid and alive. So the most difficult thing that he has solved so far during Bannerlord's production is inverse kinematics, which is a system of animation where you go not from how a particular bone is rotated, but from where a particular part of the body needs to be, and then the animation is built from that point back. This is the same system that Kingdom Come Deliverance is using for their like sword dueling mechanics, and it seems like a lot of like medieval combat type games are probably going to be going this direction, because this seems to be like the future of that sort of interaction in games. It's easier for them to model realistic swordplay reactions using this system. Well, I don't know if necessarily easier, but it definitely gives a more realistic result. So this system results in much better visuals than we had in Warband. However, once you open this Pandora's box, it's a huge workload to fine-tune the system, which took us a very long time. And then we get a GIF here of a chained attack, and that's right, it's a GIF, not a GIF, just because the creator of the image file type says it's GIF doesn't mean the whole English language changes because of him. So yeah, we're not talking about peanut butter, we're talking about images, and it looks pretty good. It's something that we didn't have in Warband, you know, chained attacks, being able to sort of combine one move into another fluid move. So that's cool, and there should be quite a few of these. It's not just like this one right here. I imagine every attack and like follow-up attack combination is going to have some sort of like fluid animation between them for some sort of chained attack. So what is he currently working on? Currently working on tweaking the combat system and adding some new features based on feedback from our internal combat tests. One specific example would be trying chambering with a new gesture combo. I hope that it will be more intuitive and have a more satisfactory visual feedback. Apart from these, I usually work on our animation system, network system, individual and group AI, and core gameplay elements like basic movements. So, chambering, if you're not familiar, if you don't play Warband a ton and you're not like super into it, chambering is essentially an alternative to, it's blocking without using the actual block mechanic. Basically, if you initiate an attack in the same direction as you are being attacked from, you can sort of deflect it. And so generally, the really good players online will use this technique because it's faster than blocking and allows you to counter easier, or at least that is my experience with it. I'm not very good at it, so I don't tend to use it, and I'm more often than not carrying a shield anyways, so I find it's easier to just let people hack away at my shield and then hit them when they let their guard down. But it's cool that they are sort of working around that. I think a lot of the really hardcore players will enjoy that. That said, on someone like me who is a hardcore fan of the game but not necessarily the best player, probably isn't going to benefit from that as much as, you know, the people who are really, really good at the game and take it really seriously would. I just, you know, I like to be a commander more than I like to be like the best warrior on the battlefield. So anyways, what faction does he like the most? So you start the game without a faction, and usually you meet the Empire first, so I guess quite a few people will prefer the Empire as their favorite faction. But I like the Khuzaits because of the mechanics of horse archery. I really love that, and no other game gives the same feeling. Yeah, I mean, that is a pretty unique thing to the Mount & Blade series. If you've ever tried to fire a bow from horseback in Skyrim, you'll know that the mechanics there don't work very well, and it's something that Mount & Blade, regardless of which iteration of Mount & Blade you're looking at, does much, much better than anything else I've seen. And I guess my only complaint there is the AI in Mount & Blade, whether it be Warband or the original or, you know, whatever, for horse archers is not very good. They don't do a great job of keeping their distance and, you know, skirmishing. There are mods for Warband that actually do a much better job of this. So hopefully they've learned something from those mods and have horse archers that actually, you know, work like horse archers should. From what we've seen of the Khuzaits gameplay so far, whether it be like the E3 stuff that we've seen or the Gamescom stuff, they seem to have done that. The horse archers definitely look a little bit more intelligent. They're not running into melee combat or like inadvertently getting caught in it. So I think that's taken care of. But until we actually get the game, it's hard to say for sure. So how have ranged animations changed from Warband? Will players be able to move during the animation, and how have you balanced this? The major change in bow reloading and shooting animations is that we used to leave the arrow in the quiver until the player starts readying to shoot. Now the arrow is taken from the quiver as soon as the player is available to do so. This reduces the time required to ready and shoot an arrow and gives a decent timing advantage to the bowman. If the player gets disturbed while taking an arrow from the quiver, this action gets restarted on the next availability. This stage difference is also done for the crossbowmen, so the reloading in crossbows is split into two, cocking the crossbow and placing the bolt. First stage gets cancelled if the player moves during the action, but the second stage allows movement. Bowmen are free to move at any stage. So this is interesting because in Warband it was all sort of one thing. You basically pull the arrow out and, you know, knock it on the bow, and that's all sort of one animation playing out as you're readying it. Whereas now, basically as soon as you let that arrow go, as soon as you loose it, the guy's grabbing another arrow, and so that animation is going to play out unless you get hit during that time. You're going to have that arrow ready, and then as soon as you go to fire, the arrow's already there. You just need to, you know, knock it again and let it go. So I think that'll make bows a lot, maybe not a lot quicker, but I imagine noticeably quicker to fire, especially in situations where you've got to move around a little bit. And so you know, you kind of get that bouncing back and forth, trying to dodge arrows coming at you. You stop, you let go of a shot, and you move back to the other direction, stop, let go. I think in that sense, you're going to feel this a lot more. When you're just sitting still and, you know, loosing one arrow after another, you probably won't notice it as much, because I imagine these two animations combined are going to be roughly the same as the length of the single animation before. It's just that now you can kind of do one on the move before you ready to aim, and so that's kind of out of the way while you're getting set up, and then as soon as you're ready to set up, it's just a matter of lifting and firing. Whereas with crossbowmen, I think it will probably have a similar feel, because again, when you are playing as a crossbowman, you have to stop to reload. So you can move around and try to dodge incoming fire, but inevitably you're going to have to stop, bend over, cock the thing, and then fire it, and then move around again. But in Warband, again, single animation, so it's getting cocked and the bolt's getting placed all in a single animation, and you're doing that while stationary, because if you move, then it cancels it and you've got to start over. Here, you have to stop to cock it, but you can do that real quick and then immediately take off and place the bolt while you're on the move, and then set up and fire real quick. So I think it's actually going to help both, and I think both will feel a lot more fluid and realistic because of this. But I don't know that it's going to benefit one over the other. Initially, it sort of felt like maybe it would benefit the bowmen, but they were already free to move at any stage, and the crossmen were already limited. So I think in this case, it's pretty much equal. If anything, it might help the crossbowmen more, because now they're not limited as much. Because the bows could move at any part during their reload animation. Now the crossbowmen, rather than being stationary for their whole reload animation, are only stationary for part of it. So yeah, I guess if anything, it's going to help the crossbowmen a little bit more. But I think for both, it's going to be a benefit. So it's not like it's giving one an advantage. It's just that one benefits a little bit more than the other. So balancing of all weapons was made after this change, so this new system didn't cause us too much trouble. By the way, I should remind you that the balancing in both weapons and their usage animations are continuously made, so nothing has been seen in the footage as shown should be assumed to be final. Okay. How good is the combat AI on the highest difficulty? Will there be different combat AI for different units in Bannerlord? Until now, we mainly worked on the tactics of formations and armies, but not the tactics on one-on-one fights. I believe that we will add some variety on that, only after we feel like the AI is good enough and missing only unique tactics. So far, the AI has been buffed with improved range and melee accuracy, decision to use kicking, keeping distance according to combat states, and so on. In the end, our aim is to expand the range of intelligence of AI in order to help new players more in combat and create more challenge for the experienced players. With the addition of more complex army AI, you should also expect a hard time on even reaching the army commanders in the battlefield, as a challenging duel, and a challenging duel would be your reward or punishment when you penetrate the defenses. So this is great, and probably something that needed the most work in Warband, because the combat AI in Warband is essentially commander either picks the highest point on the map and holds there and makes you attack him, or he charges at you, and that's pretty much it. So it'd be nice to see a little bit more variety in that. I mean, obviously, when you're defending, you do want to find some high ground and take advantage of that, but it's usually just a big mob on top of a hill, and they don't really use their cavalry. So in a lot of cases, like for the more cavalry-oriented factions, you want to be on the offensive against the AI, because your cavalry is, able to move more freely, and the AI, if they're cavalry-based and defending, their cavalry is just sitting there and they're a stationary target, which is the best way to deal with cavalry, is to have them not moving. So in that sense, it'd be nice for the AI to use their cavalry more intelligently, whether attacking or defending. And in terms of one-on-one combat, that I think could also use a lot of improvement, because in Warband, one-on-one combat is basically the AI continually moving forward at you and then swinging as quickly as they can. There are some mods that add some variety to that, where they can kick or like shield bash. In particular, I hate the shield bash stuff because the AI spams it, so I generally don't mess with mods that do that. But I don't mind them being able to kick, although I find that they use that a little bit too often as well. But they'll apparently be adding the kick here, and so hopefully they balance it so it's not like you're just getting kicked around left and right. And let's see. Expand the range of intelligence. Yeah, I mean, it'd just be nice to have different troops fight differently. So if, you know, you're attacking somebody with like a shield and a spear, it would be nice to see them try to maybe kind of keep their distance and use that spear rather than just doing the same thing, constantly moving forward at you and, you know, basically closing the distance to where their weapon's not even effective anymore, and you being able to just kind of stab right under their extremely long reach. So I guess we'll see, but again, that's something that could really use improvement from Warband, and so hopefully that's sort of what they're getting at here. In terms of combat animations, what sort of variations can we expect? Are there more unique animations depending on weapon than Warband? In Bannerlord, we have quite a few more variations than Warband. Combatants can be in a left or right stance, meaning like left-handed or right-handed. So in a right-handed stance, your left foot would be your forward foot, and your right foot would be your back foot. You'd have your shield or your offhand as your left hand, and then your weapon would be, you know, in your right hand, or in the case of a two-hander, you'd be primarily wielding it with your right, but also sort of bracing it with your left. Versus a left-handed stance would be the opposite. Your right foot would be forward. And so, depending on which way you're facing, you're sort of, you know, opening up yourself to attacks from the other direction. It's similar to like boxing or mixed martial arts, where, you know, the strong side is the side you're sort of open to, you're facing, and you're a little bit more vulnerable to attacks from the opposite that's sort of to your back. Again, you're not completely turning your back to the side, but it is a little bit more exposed on one side than the other. So it's cool. Basically, you'll be able to change back and forth between those, and you'll get different animations depending on which one you're in, which I don't see how you could do that without having separate animations. So that's cool. On top of that, there are two variations of each animation, one for very light and fast, and one for heavy and slow weapons. Okay, so my question there is, what about medium weapons? Because the way, it's not like weapon weights are in classes in this. The weapon weights are like a numerical value. So if you have a sword that's weight 2, for example, and that's considered light, and then a sword that's weight 5 and that's medium, and then a weapon that's weight 9 and that's heavy, like, so where does the medium one get the heavy slow animation or the light fast animation, or is this more of like a well, they said 2, so that's pretty specific. I personally would like to see something more akin to like a continuum, where it's the same animation and it just plays a little bit faster or slower depending on the weapon. But maybe they're doing something like that. It's just that they have 2 distinct sets, and the heavier weapons get a little bit more exaggerated animations or something. But the play speed of the animation depends on the weapon speed and all that. I don't know. That raises more questions than answers for me. Anyways, any particular weapon uses a blend of those. Oh, okay, so they answered it. Never mind. Any particular weapon uses a blend of those 2 animations according to its weight. Okay, so that perfectly answers it. So basically, a medium weapon would be equal parts fast and light and heavy and slow, and it would get the animation that's sort of like the 50-50 combination of those 2. The dirty way of fighting also got additional variety in Bannerlord. Kick works the same as Warband, but it would also be possible to bash with either a shield or weapon in hand. Here we see bashing with an axe. Bashing is something that isn't in Warband unless you're playing it modded. Some mods do add it. It doesn't work particularly great in those mods, but it is there. So it's cool to see them actually implementing it. And a shield bash is something I would probably use quite a bit, because the kick, I find the kick not to work very well unless you're in very specific situations. So I think a shield bash would be a very welcome addition, especially if it's implemented better than the way those mods do it. So we'll see. But yeah, here we get him sort of weapon bashing with the axe, which just kind of gives you another type of attack, essentially. And you don't have to have a shield in order to do that sort of thing. Also, looking at this particular animation, I could see potential for maybe modding in like some half sorting. So if you know what half sorting is, it's a technique generally associated with, like, you know, heavy plate armored knights, because fighting a guy in plate armor with a sword isn't particularly easy to do. So what they would do is they would basically grab the sword by the handle and then somewhere up on the blade and use it as sort of like a, it's hard to explain, but basically, like, imagine his right hand holding the handle and his left hand holding the blade somewhere, and you could like bash somebody with the sword, or, you know, hit them with the pommel, or sort of use both hands to thrust the point into somebody. So it's more common in like later medieval periods where plate armor is really prevalent, but it's something that I think would be a really cool addition. Not necessarily important for the time period they're going for, because mostly you're going to be seeing like lamellar and chainmail, but still something that would be cool. And with these animations, I think modders could do it pretty easily. Yeah, we'd have to see the other animations, obviously, but this, you know, could be pretty easily transitioned into like a half sorting technique. So what is the biggest feature you want in older Mount and Blade games but were unable to include that you have implemented in Bannerlord? So a custom skeleton system that would support different creatures would expand the creativity of our modders a lot in Warband. Luckily, just like many other moddable things in Bannerlord, this is also possible. This will also be possible to modify. Yeah, that's cool, because in Warband you can add like animals and whatnot, but they generally take the form of horses, and so you can't really make them attack. So you could have like a wolf as a mount, but you wouldn't really be able to make that actually do anything other than be rideable. So with the custom skeletons and stuff, it would be cool to see maybe people implementing like a wolf sort of pet that follows you into battle. This would be great for like all the Game of Thrones mods, where you could have like a dire wolf, you know, charging into battle with you. That'd be awesome. And then the fact that it'd actually be able to attack and stuff would be great. But that's a lot of work. It's not like they're giving us these skeletons, they're just opening up the ability for them to be changed, or the original ones to be changed. So what are the differences between the creation of Warband 8 years ago and Bannerlord today? So actually this is a quite wide question, so I will limit my answer only to the programming part of it. I started working here in Tailworlds in 2006, but I officially joined the team in 2008. So I've been involved in development of Mount & Blade projects for more than 10 years. The number of programmers working on Mount & Blade games during this time has increased from 2, Armagon and me. So Armagon is like the creator, basically. He's like the CEO now. To more than 20. When there were just 2 of us, the overhead of designing and discussions was extremely minimal. The codebase was smaller. Bannerlord codebase is 3 times that of Warband, including the module system. And our quality expectations were lower. All of these factors helped us in implementing new features with a short period of time. In Warband, we doubled our programmer count to 4, but everything else stayed similar. When we started working on Bannerlord, the increased number of employees forced us to act more professional in almost every area of the project. Renewed and automated integration tools, team-based development, proper QA testing, design meetings, regular meetings, etc. were all introduced during the development of Bannerlord. I could say that our teams turned from a group of ambitious guys to a development studio while developing Bannerlord. Oh, and one strange fact is that the office has felt chillier each year. Most of the others don't feel the difference, but I do. I really do. Okay. Got it. So he's lost his hair during Bannerlord. Apparently he's gone bald in the process. We would like to take this opportunity to say that 2017 has been a very, very exciting year for us. We went to E3 and Gamescom and had a great time there showing Mount & Blade 2 Bannerlord. We've been talking to you week after week for some time now and sharing an open conversation. with you, and getting your feedback has been extremely useful, invigorating, and empowering. Thank you guys. And of course, Bannerlord is getting better and better, shaping up to be a great game that you deserve. 2018 is almost here, and we expect it to be even more exciting. We can't tell you more as of now, but stay tuned. You wouldn't like to miss it, or you wouldn't want to miss it. We wish all of you and your families a wonderful holiday and the best for the new year. See you in a couple of weeks. Okay, so I think they're going on like holiday break here, which I'm sure a lot of people will have a problem with, but I don't care. These guys are real people. They have stuff, you know, they have families and whatnot too, and video games aren't the most important thing in the world. So yeah, I'm fine with that. And they seem to be hinting at something in 2018. I've heard rumors that they might be trying to release the game in some form, whether that be, you know, early access, open or closed beta, or maybe even a full release at this point. But it sounds like they're still working on it, so I don't think it's going to be a full release if it happens then. But I've heard rumors about February or March, and I don't know what the validity of these rumors are, so I would take them with a handful of salt, not just a grain of it. But it seems like they're hinting at something for 2018. Hopefully we get to see the release of Bannerlord sometime during 2018. I, for one, am sick and tired of all the bad jokes and memes regarding the release date of this game, so I would love for it to be out, and preferably a very, very, very good game, so that it kind of, you know, silences the critics. And, you know, to be fair, I've had my criticisms of the game as well. They definitely haven't handled the PR aspect of this game's development particularly well. I think that's why we saw their community manager leave and get replaced during this year. But I'm still very optimistic about this game. I'm not gonna, you know, throw a tantrum because it's not out yet, like some people are doing. And I just, you know, in the meantime, I'm gonna keep playing some Warband and enjoying all the great mods for it. And when Bannerlord comes out, I'll dive into that and enjoy that too. So anyways, it sounds like we won't be getting any developer blogs for at least a few weeks. But as soon as we get some more news, whether it be developer blogs or potential release dates or even just little tidbits of information, I will be back with a video on it. So anyway, thank you guys so much for watching. I always love talking about Bannerlord with you. I look forward to hearing what you guys have to say in the comments, and I will see you next time.